Hi, I'm Ed Jones. I was the Multimedia and Technology Consultant for the Japan Fulbright Memorial Fund. In that role, I created a large number of videos for the program. I recently learned that these videos, and many of the program's records, have been lost or destroyed, so I am trying to restore them from items in my personal files. I have chosen to restore this particular video first in order to commemorate the 75th anniversary of the Tokyo firebombing, and to preserve the story of Seiichi Soeda's personal experiences in it. To understand Soeda-san's story, it helps to have a sense of what the American military was doing at the time, so I am prefacing it with excerpts from a Cold War propaganda film that I saw on television as a child. I would like you to note its imperative mission statement, the image of a priest blessing a B-29 attack force, thereby justifying its tone of moral righteousness, and its implicit message that the atomic bombings were strategically unnecessary, that fire bombings would suffice.
Major General Curtis E. LeMay replaced Hansel. By sheer weight of attack, LeMay believed he could force a surrender of Japan. To that end, he ordered a furious pace of operations. Here was his weapon, the Super Fort, with 2,200 horses warming up in each of its 4 engines. Designed to carry more destruction and carry it higher, faster, and farther than any bomber before, the B-29s were like artillery pointed at the heart of Japan. Each plane was armed with 12 50-caliber machine guns, a 20-millimeter cannon, and 4 tons of bombs.
No war was ever fought over such vastness. We who had battled over Berlin, Ploesti, and Schweinfurt knew it. London to Berlin and back was 1,000 miles. The Foggia Ploesti run, 1150. But Saipan to Tokyo and back was more than 3,000 miles. B-29s were the planes for the job. For all their destructive power, those of us who flew the Superforts felt they were things of beauty. But LeMay wasn't satisfied with the results of these high-level precision tactics. Suddenly in March, he switched to low-level, nighttime, maximum effort fire raids. And Japan's dreams of world empire went up in a flaming inferno.
The B-29s burned out the industrial heart of Japan. One by one, 66 principal cities received their devastating bath of fire until Japan's military situation was hopeless. They could not have held out. They had lost control of the air. Their capacity to wage war was destroyed. The fire raids had even killed much of their fanatical resistance. B-29s were making Japan bleed internally.
Seiichi Soeda was a 20-year-old college student at the time of the firebombing.
In the Tokyo area, outside Tokyo, there was a we call Boso Peninsula. Then this preliminary warning was given over the radio, by radio, announced in the radio. It says that some enemy planes were approaching towards the Boso Peninsula. It's outside Tokyo, you know. Then, but nothing happened after that. Then, sometime later, the radio says that the enemy planes were circling around the tip of the Boso Peninsula. Another peninsula is like this top. Then approaching around here, but making circle around here, not for proceeding towards the center of the city. That I thought something funny, strange, because it was not the way it happened all the time, you see. Then, a little later, the radio says that the enemy plane seems to be turning back. So I thought, well, that's tonight, I think we can go to sleep. Then I went to bed, but I didn't actually fall asleep. I usually put the clothes on, not nightwear, pajamas or something, but usually clothes because I have to get up and ready for air raids at any time. The radio says that the preliminary air raid was still good at that time, so I thought I was curious. I stood outside the front door. Then all of a sudden I saw the fireball broke out at some distance. That was the beginning of the air raid. Fireball jumped right in front of my house across the street. Say, I know the firebomb jumped right on the roof. It was a roof tile, and then crushed the roof tile, but it didn't ignite it. So I think it was unexploded. And so some other firebomb jumped rather in the near distance. So I was really started worrying about it. Then all of a sudden I heard some noise at the back door. So I went down there. There was also firebomb job and the back door, just outside of the back door, unexploded. And I thought that I have to leave the house. Then my father came in here. And my father was a watchmaker, I told you, but he was kind of volunteer civil guard, so-called K-border, we call it. The middle-aged or older who are not drafted in the army were working for working as a civil guard. But my father was assigned to the traffic control, the patrolling, so to speak. Then he came in by bicycle. Then says it's going to be danger here if we stay here, so better move out. So I took my mother and the young sister with me, and then I put some valuables in my shoulder bag, like insurance policy or saving daily note or something, and some cash, I think, very small amount of cash. Then my father asked me to carry it, so I put the big knapsack in my bag, keeping all small tools of watchmakers, tools and parts for repairing watch, necessary for repairing watch. Then we left the house, then moved the school ground. Usually it's much intensity, early spring, so it shouldn't be so cold, but that time it's very cold. And also we are very unlucky because, unfortunate, because even before the air raids, we had a strong gusty wind, gale, or whatever you call it, northwest winds blowing very hard. We could hardly keep the bicycle stand. It brought the bicycle down on the ground. You can imagine how strong the wind was. Therefore, the fire helped, just like a fanning the fire, So the wind was even stronger than what started. So when we got there, there are so many people already there. Some of them were carrying big wooden cart, keeping whole household goods, like futon or clothes perhaps, or something like this. That should not have been done, because they shouldn't do that, because we had a very bitter experience in 1923, great Kanto earthquake. It happened like this. So many people carried their household goods, and so the place memorial you saw, so many people died just because they brought so many goods over there, which helped burning the people. We might as well sit in the right and center of the concrete paved school ground, and a little while, then fire was getting harder and harder, and then the outside the school ground caught fire and start burning. Then big pieces of a wooden piece, like maybe size this one, maybe a little bit bigger, burning. I think it is thick, about twice as thick as this wooden piece flying over, burning, you see. And when we first say to the center of the, maybe about 50, 60 people around me with us. Then we are fortunate that kind of a tin plate. Maybe they use the eaves of a door or something. It's just like a size of a tatami, one tatami mat size tin plate flew over. So we use it as a shield like this, so that the fire can protect the fire, keep fire away from this, you know. Then, but the wind direction changed, so we have to adjust this way. And while we were doing this, about 56 people, including some elderly person, old men and women also were with us, but they could hardly adjust the position. So they went over the shields. Then this kind of thick wooden piece came over, catch our clothes, start burning. And I saw some old woman who lived only a block away. I knew her, but and then her dress started fire. Then I felt like I wanted to go over, help her to put off the fire, but I couldn't do it because I was busy myself stamping those burning woods and so on, and therefore I was very sorry, but I couldn't do anything to her. And I think she died. I'm sure she died. That was my impression. Is that at that time, all the air I breathed was all hot, just like you were standing very close to burning fire or something, you know. And all the breaths, it was hot. That lasted for about, and I think it was 2 hours. I don't remember. And while I was working very hard, stamping the burning pieces and so on with my boots, and perhaps I closed out, so I crouched on the ground, and perhaps I went to sleep while I was crouching. I don't remember. I lost my memory for a certain period of time. Then while was I perhaps sleeping, and some the civil guard, just like my father, one of them came around and says, "Don't go to sleep, don't go to sleep, wake up, or you should die." He kept shouting. Then I woke up, you see. Then I stood up again, then start stamping the pieces, the fire, trying to putting off the fire. Otherwise, I must have be dead at that time. I got some burns on the face. I had some foods and helmet, but over here, those burning pieces came over. Then I had burned faces here and also some hands. My sister had a big burn around here, leg. It was a miracle that school gymnasium. It's a school building like this way, you know, L-type, and this corner of the school gymnasium was left unburned. So we moved inside. We saw so many people lying on the floor, and their faces like all burned, fire, and right down. I don't know. He already died. He's already dead or still alive. I didn't know that. But so many people around here. Then at least we had a cover, so really warm outside. So we stayed there for a couple hours. Then in the morning, after sun rose, then I was anxious about my house, so I got up and dead. Then the entrance of the school ground, two places were kind of I saw big piles of dead body. The people tried to get into the school grounds but couldn't make it. Then at the entrance they burned to death. Then when I come out the school ground, I had a hard time going over the dead bodies but I finally got on the streets and walked towards back to my house. The both house. Both sides of streets. There are so many people just right down, and walk up to the house where we lived. Of course, nothing remained. Only some steel. The sewing machines. It's made of steel or cast iron. That fell off the ground where the house was there. Right outside, we made outside the house another small pitch also, but that was crushed down and didn't work, I think. And then next by that the smashed the pitch. There are 3 bodies of dead people, like one adult and 2 adults and 1 child, like 3 lying down, and of course quite charred, just like a charcoal mannequins or something. That's the size of my family, myself, my mother, and my young sister. So this is after I heard after my father also came to. He was also he made also the narrow escape. In other words, he was driving bicycle, keeping the watches he repaired for the customers, tried to save it, but he was completely involved with the fire, so he had to desert that bicycle. He kicked into the small canals, I think, or the creek, whatever you can call it, a little stream. Then he put water all over his body, then went through the smoke and fire area. Then he was also saved. Then he came back to the house and saw the dead bodies. He thought that was us. Then I went back to the school ground where we left, and then we moved another elementary school where it was better than the school. Then so we stayed another night. That was the second night, March 11th, I think. The night of March 11th, I stayed another elementary school nearby. Then on the third day, I think it was March 12th, we decided to go to ask for a place to say because we left, we lost everything. So we went from our district to the railway station, a couple of kilometers. We only all walked down there because no car was running. Fortunately, local train was running. So we got that one and train to the Tokyo station. Then had another train from there to Hiratsuka station. It's, I don't know how far, maybe 5-6 miles away from Tokyo. It's Kanagawa Prefecture. Then from the station we walked to another half an hour to visit this relative of one of our relatives who already evacuated from Tokyo before the Tokyo air raids. So he was safe, and he was using a rather big house. He kindly offered us one room for us, so we stayed there. Then that was about the third day. Then the fourth day, my father came over finally. He thought that was that was the only place he could stay, so he came over. Then he found us all safe. Tears kept running. That kind of very hard man, but he was very strict man. But after the fire started, I couldn't think about anything but putting off the fire. That's the only things came too much in my mind. And then after I found out the house was burned down, I couldn't think of anything what I should do, what I wanted to do. I have no idea, nothing, but only the impression that, I was saved, I survived. that's I was able to live. That's only the impression I had right after the Tokyo raids, the effects of the Tokyo raids, it's just like you mentioned Nagasaki or Hiroshima, same thing. Because the victims, those air raids or Hiroshima air bomb, so on, the ordinary citizens, you know, not the military soldiers. But General Romay attempted to, I think he attempted to crush the whole city with the people, and innocent civilian people. That's I quite feel it's a little, I don't know what you call it. It was kind of regrettable things for us. I wonder he could find some other way to let our military, our government people, our military realize that we are losing war. After the war, we feel that how foolish our Japanese military were trying to war.
Of course.
Well, I feel very happy because Japan lost war, because then we changed from the military-oriented country to the democratic country, you see.